And so I looked at, when I was planning an event, what were the things that I struggled with the most, that took up the most time? And it always, without a doubt, was managing our content.
Hi, I'm John Chen. I'm the CEO of GeoTeaming. I'm here with the CEO of Hubb, Allie Magyar. Allie, how are you?
Hey, it's Monday, so filled with energy from the weekend. Thanks for having me.
I love this. You know, every time we get to a Monday, I'm just like, you made it to another Monday, right?
See, I'm usually saying that on Friday, so I'm glad you're saying that on Monday.
I say it every day.
Perfect.
Okay, so tell me, so let's find out a little bit about you. So you're currently the CEO of Hubb. So some people may not know. I don't know which rock they're hiding under. But can you describe to me, I think if you were the founder too, tell me about Hubb and how it came to be.
Sure. Well, I've been in the meetings industry over 20 years, 22 years actually, this August. And so I grew up planning and managing really large-scale technology conferences. And when I started my career, fax machines were innovative tech. So that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
And you can imagine how managing registration lists via mail and fax machines was so much fun, with lots of spreadsheets and no one ever working off the same document. So throughout my career, I saw opportunities to be able to automate process. And so I looked at, when I was planning an event, what were the things that I struggled with the most, that took up the most time? And it always, without a doubt, was managing our content. Who was going to speak on which topics, collaborating with the committees, going back and forth on PowerPoint files and presentations and their speaker profile and needing to market all of that. And then the same process with sponsors of collecting and managing and then marketing all of the data. And so as I saw myself needing some time to be able to focus on strategic elements, I ended up building a software platform that helped me to automate all of those back-end processes, but then also started to build in some of the attendee experiences that I was looking for. And so that's led us to today, where Hubb is one of the best and most brandable virtual event platforms in the industry. But the real beauty of it, outside of really wowing your attendees, is the fact that it comes with a complete back-end suite of tools that helps you to manage your events live, real-time, collecting, managing, and marketing all of that content.
Oh, geez. I just recently got a chance to MC and kind of be the designer for a corporate conference. And let me tell people, right, if we're kind of all missing that rush of live events, I'm just like, plan a virtual conference, because man, the rush is still there. You know, if you're doing your content live, the rush is still there, because, like, you know, leading up to that first day, that first keynote, you just don't know. We didn't know too. It's our first time. Is it going to work, or is it not going to work? And I think that's really a key piece. I recently helped a client pick a platform. And so, and there's a lot of platforms now. There's like I think Julius Solaris found at least 100, if not, and I think there's more. What do you think it makes it unique? I mean, I've heard some of it, but like, if you got to describe how your platform is different than others, how would you describe it?
Absolutely. Well, I feel like anyone that was technology and live events has tried to pivot to virtual. So every mobile app, every badge vendor, everyone is trying to figure out how we all stay alive in today's time. I think the difference with Hubb is that we really service not only virtual events, but in-person events and the hybrid connection of those. So as we think about the future of events and thinking about how hybrid will come to work, a lot of those back-end planning tools are unique to us in terms of being able to automate process and manage everything from one central source of truth. But really, it's in the brandable experience. So being able to immerse your attendees into a brand or to a place to make it actually feel experiential and fun. And I know we're going to talk about that a little bit today. But I'd also say that events happen because of human connection, right? When we think about live events and the fact that live events have remained so popular over the years, it's because we crave that human-to-human connection, peer-to-peer discussions, meetings, being able to find people that are like us. And so Hubb's platform is very unique in that not only do we have the content side and the experiential side, but we also have that human connection element with one-to-one meetings, peer meetings, topic-based discussions, and combining those all into that virtual and in-person experience.
So when did you start?
Well, I started building the platform actually 7 years ago. So in 2013, and for the first couple of years, I used it internally. So
Yeah.
it was pretty interesting going from being a meeting planner to a software CEO and going, what do you mean bugs? That's not acceptable. Like when I plan events, everything's 100%. So
100, come on.
100, yeah, there is no 99.9. And so, yeah, we've been building the platform since 2013, but been in market since 2015. So a long time to hone our craft and what we provide to our customers.
Well, bravo on a couple of fronts too. You know, I really care a lot of things about STEM and women in STEM, right? And especially in our hospitality industry, we're missing a lot of diversity in the leadership. So congratulations. I mean, that's really awesome in that piece. So are you telling me that if I use your platform that I can actually get rid of some of my stuff and just plan it all in the back end?
Yes,
right?
absolutely. You've got your full agenda in there. You've got workflows. You might have sort of product owners that are in charge of specific tracks that want to make all their own changes. And so, yeah, there's lots of different roles and permissions that help with that curating of your event before that helps you to save time, but also think about how to really deliver that experience for your attendees.
Well, I think a great one is too, I have a lot of friends that are business owners. I've been a member of Entrepreneurs Organization. I don't know if you've heard of them, but like they're like YPO. Talk about, and a lot of us are talking about leadership right now. What is it do you think that you bring to leadership to your team that's helping you, you know, maintain and thrive?
Well, I think Hubb is really blessed because we have some of the best event talent in our company. So the fact that I used to run 30, 40,000 person citywides as a meeting planner, right? The fact that I grew up for 20 years planning and managing events really helps me to have that background, but then also understand how technology can evolve us over time. And so one of the things that we've been really passionate about is supporting the community right now. We're all in this crazy, you know, everyone hates the word pivot because it's being used all the time, but that's really what it is. Like we're trying to figure out how to keep events alive, how to keep our careers alive, how do we pivot our industry to remain relevant. And you know, it's always been a huge part of the marketing stack in terms of thinking about how we drive leads and business. And so really thinking about how we bring that home. And so as an organization, Hubb has really helped our industry by hosting virtual events for meeting planners. We ended up throwing an event called Untethered, where from the time it reached my head, because everyone was calling me and going, oh my God, what is going on in this world, to the first day of the event was less than 6 weeks. And so really we explored what it meant to be virtual and give people a playground to sort of see what works, what doesn't work. And then to share out information. Every night I'd sit on my deck and I'd put my meeting planner hat on and I would type up an executive report and summary, just like I would for my clients. And I would send that out to thousands of attendees that says, here's where we messed up. Here's what we learned. Here's what we changed. Here's what's still in my brain that I'm contemplating. And so we continue to think about ways that we can push those bounds. So I'm looking at turning Untethered into a true hybrid experience, hopefully in January, February, and exploring what it actually means to connect those two worlds together instead of having them as completely separate experiences. So our Hubb leadership really is in understanding the events world, the value, the business value in meetings and events, and then being able to be forward thinking with our technology to think about how we can continue to accomplish that.
Okay, so this gets onto the right perfect transition with this. Is that since you've already thought about this, already done it, right? Can you give me an example of like one of the coolest unexpected stories, right? And one of the coolest unexpected mistakes. Like we have one of our mantras here at GeoTeaming is fail faster, right? And here I'll tell you, I'll just to be transparent, my biggest fail in the last week is that I learned this new trick that if you make everybody co-host, you can actually have a breakout meeting where everyone's in control. Now it's giving people a lot of power, but it's really cool because you can have a self-directed thing on Zoom that when I thought like, oh, that's not possible. And so I tried to run a poll. Right. So what do you want to for the topics? And when I ran a poll, everyone was co-host. And when you do that, co-host people can't vote. So it was a total fail. They're like, John, none of us can vote. And I'm like, oh my God. We were laughing so hard. I said, screw it. You're in the breakout rooms. You guys figure it out yourself later. Okay. So there's an example. So I'd love best and worst story if you got one.
Yeah, well, you know, in hosting Untethered, we were talking a lot about, are you live? And that's sort of the statement of virtual. Are you live? Are you not live? And no one quite knows if you've done your job well, right? And speakers are oftentimes so anxious. And I do a ton of public speaking, doesn't make me anxious to go onto a stage. But as we thought about our keynotes for Untethered, we had 5,000 people registered for the event. And so we were going to produce them live. And I literally I came to my office. I was the only person here. But as I was in the green room waiting to go live, I lost internet connectivity from a hardwired connection at my office. And so I had an entire green room of speakers, and I was trying to dial back in. Zoom wasn't recognizing me. And so I dialed in from my phone, and literally I got back into the room and we were live, and all the speakers were like, what's going on? Do you know how long this event goes for? And so we're live to thousands of people because I lost my internet and I didn't have a way of communicating with them. So, I think there is so much that we are learning in this virtual world about risk, about backup plans, and having to roll with the punches, because now I'm live on camera to thousands of people. I've been a hot mess of losing internet. All my speakers are a hot mess because they don't know what's going on. And here I am with my face to the world. And I looked at the camera and I was like, so this is what happens when you lose internet and you're in a virtual event. It's the reality, right? So I think we have to learn to roll with the punches and really explore and be willing to do things ourselves, to experience them, to be able to put backup plans in place. So that's probably my worst story.
and open to being transparent, right? That's
absolutely.
It's humanizing, though. I think for the audience, once they realize that, it's very humanizing. I have a similar story. A top VP woman, right, getting ready to present, has everything ready, 45 minutes to go, and she goes, bloop, she disappeared from the list. And we have virtual speaker handlers. So the speaker handler went off and started calling her and trying to figure out what's going on. Hardline to her house, both power and internet cut.
No.
It's like, and they got her on 6 minutes to go. She had to get in her car and drive, and somebody else presented. She delivered a 45-minute keynote from her car while it was running.
That's pretty impressive. It's all about adaptability.
Yeah. Okay, best story. So that's your worst story. Thank you for that. Great one. What's the best story?
I actually, similar to you, when we were doing Untethered, we really wanted to push the bounds and take risks. And so we hosted a happy hour one night, and we had it in webinar mode. So attendees were chatting only, and we were doing polls and all of that. And people said, yeah, this is interesting, but why can't we all get in a room and turn on video and audio and just all network together? And I thought, oh, hell no. Like the control freak in me was like, no, I'm not going to make everyone co-presenters. That sounds like a hot mess with hundreds of people in a room. And they said, but you said it's all about taking risk. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I did. Okay, fine. We'll try it. And so as people joined in, they were all co-presenters. Everyone was sharing their video and audio. And I was waiting for the whole thing to just, the one person that forgets to mute, and then you hear their dogs or their goats or whatever is going on in their home, their kids. But it was actually one of the coolest experiences that I've had, because in a typical happy hour, I may show up to the bar, I talk to the two people that I know, I maybe meet one person because I'm trying to be outgoing that night, and then I head home to my room. And in this experience, what we did is we made it all about connection. So yes, we were talking about cooking pizza and telling stories and talking about our best pizza places around the world, but then people started storytelling, and they would contribute and say, this is my biggest event planning success. This is a time that I overcame something that I never thought I could overcome. And people came off of video and shared audio in a way that was so compelling. And I ended up connecting with 100 people that night instead of 3 people. And everyone knew how to control themselves. We're on Zoom all day long, all the time. And so people know how to mute. They know when to use chat, when not to use chat. So it was really eye-opening to me to not only see how something I had an inherent belief couldn't work, that it absolutely did work. And I was so glad that I took the risk and was willing to experiment with it. Aww. But then also the ability to actually feel true connection with people because you're authentically sharing. And so that moment really taught me a lot in terms of what experiential means in virtual.
Wow. I know what you mean. I host a happy hour every Wednesday and Friday at 5 p.m. I hope you drop in. There's a lot of event professionals there. And especially it's starting to calm down a little bit, but in the early weeks in March, right, we had every happy hour had what we called the Game of Thrones moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like somebody would tell a story so mic dropping, right, that we're like, that's the Game of Thrones moment. Okay, this happy hour is successful.
Yeah, exactly. And you leave feeling impacted, right? Like there's a visceral emotional reaction that actually makes you feel like you're a part of something, which is sometimes hard to do when you're in person at an event for thousands of people and you don't feel like, you necessarily have someone that understands you.
Yeah, you just get to that question. What do you do? What do you do, Allie?
Yeah.
Where do you live? How long you been in the industry? How many people work for you? And you're like, I don't want to answer any of those. No, I know what you mean, Allie. So now I'm going to ask you a question about this. So if you don't have an answer, this is great. But I believe in your seat. What do you think it takes to create psychological safety online?
Oh man, psychological safety online. I think it's about providing environments that really think through inclusive design, because in order for someone to feel safe, they really have to feel like you understand them as a person and are making efforts for accommodation. And one of the real values with virtual events that I've seen is the fact that we can put inclusive design to everything we do. And inclusive design doesn't just mean closed captioning so that people can, read if they can't necessarily hear the words. It also means, how do people learn? Do they learn with talking heads? Do they learn with peer-to-peer, topic discussions? Do they learn by engaging with experts in chat? So there's a lot that we can think about in terms of the type of learning, the type of accommodations that we need to make. There's a lot around creating different environments for people to feel like they're set up for success. And so I take a lot of inspiration from looking at early childhood education. I've got 2 kiddos, 13 and 10, and I think about the classroom. How do they accommodate different people? They have hands-on, time. They have physical time. They have time for quiet and reflection, and people perform differently in those environments. And so the beauty of virtual is that we can really accommodate people to make them feel safe and to have inclusive design that allows them to get the best value for them uniquely as a person.
Wow. All right. Well, let's see if we can try and close this up. I'll give you 2 pieces. So, what do you think from your childhood, which I didn't get to ask you about, so you can drop a little bit about what do you think from your childhood help you prepare or identify this is what you want to do? And the last word is, what do you want to tell people from your seat? What do you think you can do to help people through this pandemic? See, I gave all the easy questions at the end.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Well, I really didn't have a clue what I wanted to do. When I was in high school, I was planning my own birthday parties at 3rd grade, right? And I was always about bringing people together. I was always class president, designing all the school trips. But when I graduated high school, events were not a career. It was, if you wanted to get into events, you could go into marketing and maybe you could look at events. And so I actually went to college. I got a scholarship. I was a concert flautist. And so I went to college for English and music. And I spent 1 quarter there and said, hell no, this is not me. I'm dropping out because this doesn't bring me passion. And I really didn't have a career path. And I started street racing, and my parents were like, what the heck is going on? You're street racing? Like, get a job, get a career. But that passion that I had for street racing turned into throwing parties for all the street racers, which turned into throwing car shows for all the street racers, which turned into me planning corporate events, which turned into me doing technology for events. So, I don't think that there is ever one solid path for any person, but I think the thing that's helped me throughout my entire life is always having passion for what I'm doing and enjoying what I'm doing and who I'm doing it with. And that has always led me in the correct way.
Wow. Perfect ending. Allie, if you didn't know, I'm the recent owner of a beautifully used Porsche Boxster.
Ooh, that's a fun car.
2002 Porsche Boxster. It is a fun car. And my way that I got here was that I was actually a sponsored amateur skateboarder on my way to become professional when I blew my left ACLs and then started running around computers.
Wow. See, it's so interesting how careers change. What you think is going to happen in your life is never what happens. But I think that goes to your second point you asked me, John, which is we all just have to remain agile. We have to look at what's currently in front of us, take the opportunities, listen to our hearts, and really be willing to explore. And so I think our stories both are great examples of that.
I love that. Instead of pivot, say agile or adapt or some other word, right? And if anybody now says unprecedented, both Allie and I will come hunting for you. But Allie, if people want to come find you, how do they come find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Our website, which is going to have a brand new gorgeous look in about 3 weeks. So I will be excited to debut that. But Hub with 2 B's, so HUBB.me. So hub.me would be the best place. And we have tons of resources. We have a great section all with webinars and best practices and templates. So those will continue to evolve as we look at our new world of virtual and hybrid together.
Well, I can definitely tell you were in the Cadillacs of the people that I looked at in here that just wasn't a right client match for my client. But we are looking, and I was at Untethered, so I got to see that work and know the people that helped create that. Untethered was really an impressive piece of virtual adaptation. If you can't see it, you should look for Untethered and hub.me, and you'll, I think, see the website with plenty of the videos still there, the community still meeting. So, Allie, thank you so much for your valuable time, and I appreciate you, and hopefully I'll see you online.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, John.